So let's start with fantasy winners, just focusing on individual players at this point. And I'll get started. Scott Barlow was traded. We kind of knew that was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it was just a matter of when the Royals unloading their bullpen, as they should. They're not a contender. We didn't see David Bednar get traded. I guess I'm not super shocked there. He is a Pittsburgh native as well.
Yeah.
So I think there's that extra incentive to keep him. But you look at this Royals bullpen now. Carlos Hernandez has been an under the radar pitcher for the Royals all season. Kind of struggled to find his footing his previous 3 seasons in the majors, but this year he's been great. 3.57 ERA, 63 strikeouts, 15 walks in 53 innings. I think he has the path to take over this job. And rostered in not that many leagues right now. I mean, the Royals are not good, but still, saves are saves. And, if there's a clear path here, if he can roll off of, a few saves, he could just have it the rest of the way. He'd be my top priority of, pitchers who are widely available right now.
Yeah, I think he was a huge winner. I always liked his stuff when he was in the starting rotation. He seemed like a guy who had the raw ability, and the results didn't match. And some of those guys just need to not think like, how can I get through 5 or 6 innings? They need to think, how can I use my best stuff for 1 inning? For me, it's him, and I'll just, because you mentioned closers, like him and Gregory Santos are the 2 guys I think after the deadline, like you really want to get if you need saves, because we don't know when Liam Hendricks is coming back. There's no reason for the White Sox to rush him back.
Right.
Hernandez has a longer window because he's probably the guy for the rest of the season, and potentially next season. Who really knows? But those are the 2. And I know you have some interesting guys to mention later for save specs.
Yeah, I'll get right to it now. So Andres Munoz should take over the closer role in Seattle to an extent. Paul Sewald was traded to the Diamondbacks. That situation, which there was like 6 pitchers who got saves in that bullpen throughout the season, kind of a murky spot for the past few months. But now Sewald is the guy there. And in Seattle, Munoz is already rostered in 2/3 of Yahoo League, so probably scooped up most everywhere. But if you want to speculate, Seattle does like to mix it up. Matt Brash should figure into that situation as well. Got really great stuff and movement. Justin Topa as well has had a really good year. So if you're in a really deep league and you want to spec, I think Topa is a good play. But it should be a mix of those guys. Probably Munoz getting the majority, I would think.
Yeah, I love that call. They're both. And Brash is another guy. We talked about it with Carlos Hernandez, where like sometimes guys have interesting stuff as a starter, but it's just better for them to make the move. And it took him a little bit to settle in, but he's been great there. And, we know Seattle's organizational philosophy isn't going to change. They're going to mix and match based on matchup.
Right. So what you got next?
I'm going to start with, a layup that we talked about because of the way he performed today. But a Jeimer Candelario, he was hitting 258 for Washington with 16 home runs, 57 runs, 53 RBIs, and 6 steals. So just a pretty well-rounded profile. And then he went to the Cubs, and tonight in his first game with the Cubs, he went 4 for 4. And he was hitting 6th. I'm trying to pull the lineup up right now. And it's just giving missing who the Cubs are. They scored 16 runs too. Wild. This game is still going on. They're pounding the Reds. He hit 6th in the lineup behind, it was Bellinger, cleanup, Swanson, then Candelario. So I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity for RBIs there. There's a slight park boost, nothing crazy, but for left-handed power, Wrigley ranks 6th and Nationals Park ranks 7th. So it's just a little bit of a boost. So you have good team context, good player just overall, and a little bit of a park boost. So I think Candelario is a really solid ad for, third base or corner infield spots for the rest of the series.
He's available in 50% of Yahoo leagues right now. So decent chance he's out there in shallow leagues. He's going to primarily play first base with Chicago. The Cubs, I believe they designated Trey Mancini for assignment.
They did, yeah.
Yeah. Bit
that
surprising.
Was the Mancini and Hosmer whiffs were
Yeah.
were big. I think he'll primarily play first, which is great because he could get the dual eligibility. And then I think depending on how Nick Madrigal does at third base, there's always the chance that they call Mervis back up and let Candelario go to third. So, but either way, I think Candelario's in the lineup.
Yes.
And that's all you want when you're talking about his value.